What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the JERRY1 Podcast. It is a historic episode of the JERRY1 Podcast because we have reached episode number 20 of the JERRY1 Podcast, and it's a big turnaround. We're doing one on Thursday night to now here Monday morning, and we're going to have our guest on around noon. So it's a quick turnaround, but it's a new week of JERRY1 Podcast, and what a weird week it was for the fantasy basketball and fantasy hockey. Not to mention that fantasy baseball is reactivated and unofficial draft date. I won't announce it on the show until it's official. But fantasy basketball, a career highs in scoring. Fantasy hockey, on the other hand, career lows in scoring. It was a weird week. Basketball, Larry went off 900 something points, 931. That's a franchise high. Blake Crawford, 847 here on this Monday morning. Stat correction is probably not in yet, but he ain't going to matter against Jack. Blake gets the win. That's a franchise high for Blake, 847. Meanwhile, over on the fantasy hockey side, 3 franchise lows. Matt, who scored the least amount of points, big loss against Q, outside the playoffs now. 71-44, 44 points for Matt. A career low for Josh. Just can't get it done over Nate. It gets even worse. 59 points. And then a career low for Jack. This Jack team sets your lineup. 55 points for Jack. That's career lows. But Justin Kiefer stays undefeated in fantasy hockey. Kyle bounces back in fantasy basketball. Matt gets a big win over his college rival Sam in fantasy basketball. Fantasy hockey is episode 20. That's what it's about. That's what it's about around this time. And we'll might touch on a little fantasy football today with today's guest, and I'm going to announce in a second here. But fantasy basketball, we're going to talk about it first. Week 8, recapping it, previewing Week 9. Hasn't even gotten going. Fantasy hockey, at the end of the show, we'll recap Week 5, halfway point in the regular season now, and we'll preview Week 6. Because today's guest is part of the Fantasy Basketball League, and he's also part of the Fantasy Football League, and he was also part of the Fantasy College Basketball League. You know it because you've seen him on the headline of the episode. Today's guest is Justin Hlywa. Justin's back on the pod for a second time. We'll see how he does in JERRY1 True or False. It's going to be interesting. Justin's on the show to talk about his basketball team. Just slipped outside the current playoff picture. 4-4, lost 2 straight. We'll get his thoughts on his team. Justin Hlywa on the show. That's what we got going on. Episode 20 is getting going, and here we go. Justin's going to come on in a second. But first, let's get to talking a little bit about fantasy basketball week 8, week 9. So the 2/3 mark of the regular season has hit. It hit today, it hit yesterday, however way you look at it. We're at the 2/3 part of the regular season. Now we're in those playoff clinching weeks. No one's clinched yet. No one's been officially eliminated yet, but I'm expecting something to happen this week. But let's talk about week 8 first, how we got here. Top scoring, unbelievable. Absolutely, this Josh team just can't get any luck. Larry murders Josh, 931 to 594. Just an absolute monster showing by this Larry team. It has slipped off a little bit. This Larry team he lost 2 in a row, 2 out of his last 3. He was 4-0. Then he lost 2 out of his last 3. He slipped off a little bit. Now he's back. He got a big win. Now he's 6-2. Looking like a playoff team. Lake's got that number 2 spot right now because of points. And this Larry team's, he's looking like a playoff team once again. He looks like he's at the top of his game. Huge week, huge confidence week for Larry. He gets the top scoring week. Guy who had the top scoring week last week, Paul, had a setback. Over the weekend, it just didn't go his way. Justin Kiefer gets the big win, 754, 700 over Paul. Huge win when it was a battle of 3 and 4 teams. So now Paul falls to 3 and 5, while Justin Kiefer gets back to 500. And he's in the playoffs right now because of points over Kurt and Justin Hlywa, who we're going to talk to in a second here. But big win for Justin. He needs it. That 6th seed looks like it's up for grabs. I think we're starting to look like Kyle's in. Sam's in, but he's not the 2 seed anymore. But it's Blake, Larry, Sam, Matt. But who's the 6th seed? That's, I think, what we're looking at right now. Early on you thought it might have been Kurt. It still could be Kurt. Justin Kiefer's made a little bit of a push. Justin Hlywa's had history in the past that he's been a playoff. Doesn't look like he's going to be me. And it doesn't look like he's going to be Paul. Kind of surprising. You thought Paul might get that win over Justin Kiefer. He didn't. Paul has a setback, played well, but this league's tough. You can play well and not win. That's Blake. I said it in the intro, 847, 431 over Jack. Jack last in scoring. Blake top 3 in scoring week 8. So a huge win for Blake. Another huge win. He's won 4 in a row. He can tie his franchise best 5-game winning streak with a win this week over Kurt. Huge game. I like this Blake team a lot. I think he's the 2nd best team in this league. I know you've seen Larry, you've seen Sam, even Matt at times. But I think this Blake team is the 2nd best team. He's the biggest threat to Kyle, and he's the only one to beat Kyle this season. So that's huge. That's huge on your resume and make your case that you could win this championship this year. We could be looking at Blake as a champion. A lot of draft hate towards Blake team, with LaMelo Ball in the 2nd round. But he did get the Greek Freak at the 2nd pick, even though Luka Doncic has really played like a number 1 overall pick. Nikola Jokic is the reason why Paul is even in the conversation for the playoffs, because of how great he's been playing. He's been playing unbelievable. But, my season, though, I think it's over. Sadly, it's over. I think Kurt got a big win. When we're talking about me and Kurt, you got to talk about, I don't know how we've been on the air here now for a few minutes now, and we haven't even talked about the first ever. I should have said this in the intro. This should have got people's attention. We had the first ever 3-way trade in JERRY1 Fantasy Sports history. Huge news. It was on Saturday night. Was not tipsy. I was just starting to drink, but I made this trade with Kurt and my brother Matt. We each had a player send to another player. Kurt got my Anthony Davis. I got Matt's Zion Williamson, and Matt got Kurt's Trae Young. As much as I wanted Trae Young, I'm happy about this move. How did we pull this off? We each sent a scrub. Even though I don't know, Kurt sending me Carmelo Anthony scrub. I see where his loyalty lies with Carmelo, but so we each sent a scrub. We offer our scrub to the other team for their player. I sent my scrub to Matt for Zion Williamson. So I don't know. We're gonna get Justin's thoughts on this trade. I like it. I've heard rumors that Justin think I might have won the trade. He's a big Zion guy, so we'll see what he thinks. So that's the deal. Matt was the third guy in that trade. He got a big win over Sam in week 8. Huge win for Matt. That really solidifies that Matt wants to be part of the playoffs this year. Wasn't part of it last year. Wants to be part of it this year. Sam, though, some concerns. If there was one team I had to pick, I know, Sam, thank you for coming on last week, but there's one team out of those 5 that I had to pick that might slide back, might be another spot available. It might be the Sam Shields team. He has not played extremely well this year. Not like we've seen Larry, who scored over 300 more points than Sam this week. Blake's been consistent. Kyle's been consistent. I don't know. I'm saying the Sam's in because he's 6-2. That's a pretty good record. But if there's one team that might slip off, it might be him. But Justin Kiefer is on. He is definitely vulnerable because he is 4-4. And he had a top 3 scoring week. So Justin Kiefer, he's good. We'll see what he does. He's hanging on to that last spot right now, 4 weeks to go. We'll see if that's the case come playoff time. Remember, it is 5 weeks to go in calendar terms. Week 11 is 2 weeks long. Remember that. And the trade deadline is a week from, almost a week from right now. It's 11:38 here on the East Coast. It's at noon on the East Coast next Monday, February 22nd. So keep an eye on that. We'll see if there's more trades coming. But let's talk about week 9 before we got to get Dustin on the show here. So Blake versus Kurt. That's a huge game. Another huge chance for a win for Blake. Huge chance for Kurt to finally make that push into the playoff picture. Paul versus me, elimination game. I think I'm already done. But if Paul loses this week, he's definitely done. Justin versus Jack, must-win territory for Justin, obviously. Jack might be seeing himself outside the playoffs officially in the next coming week. Huge game for Justin. Has to win. And I think he will win. Jack, set your lineup. Josh versus Justin Kiefer. Interesting game here. It's an interesting game. Josh, you think he's going to win a game at some point. He's better than Jack. You think he's going to win a game here. 0-8. Will this be it? We see a Justin Kiefer setback. I don't see it, but keep your eyes out. Sam versus Kyle obviously is the big game. This is the big game. I should start with, I'm just reading off the list here on the ESPN schedule. That's the big game. This is the game we've been wanting for all season. Coming into the season this year, it was Sam or Kyle, the favorites. Still could be. Sucks that Sam had a setback before this matchup, but this is a huge test for Sam. Sam can get back into the regular season championship conversation with a win this week. A loss, you can cross off 3-1 seeds in a row for Sam if he does not win this week. It's a huge game, huge statement game for Sam. Huge statement game for Kyle. I think it's a huge statement game for Kyle, too. Lost to Blake. People are kind of, write him off a little bit. Some people looking at Larry and Blake maybe back in the conversation, maybe Matt. Kyle's going to prove that he's still the top of this league. He's going to get a big win. What happens? And then the final game, Matt versus Larry, also a huge game. Huge game for Matt to get into the conversation of a bye. This is a huge game for Matt if he wants to get a bye. Matt's just focused on the playoffs, but now he can focus on a bye with a win over Larry this week. Larry, huge game for him. It's tough to put up 900 points again. You don't really see that, but Larry, huge game for him. Huge statement games for Sam versus Kyle, Matt versus Larry. 4 good teams. I think they're 4 playoff teams. I'm excited to see it. But that's fantasy basketball. Like I said, trade deadline next Monday or this Monday, as you're watching this on Tuesday on YouTube. It'll be this upcoming Monday, February 22nd, 2021 at noon Eastern Standard Time. We'll see if there's any more weekend trades. We've seen a couple trades on a Saturday morning, Josh Justin. Saturday night, me, Kurt, Matt. And we'll get Justin's thoughts on those trades. And here is that conversation with Justin Hlywa. Today's guest is on the podcast for a second time. He's a JERRY1 OG. He's in his 16th season now in JERRY1 Fantasy Sports, but still in pursuit of that first championship. Justin Hlywa. Justin, how's it going?
How you doing, sir? Thank you for having me once again. It's a pleasure.
It looks like it is noon on this Monday. It looks like you come from the same spot. Is that correct?
That is same exact spot as the last one. Wentz jerseys in the background. TO even. We get a little TO. Yep. We'll be back. Fly, Eagles, fly.
It's crazy. This basketball league's got a bunch of Eagles fans. Sam Shields an Eagle fan. My college friend Larry is an Eagles fan.
Oh, all right. I didn't know that. I like Larry now.
Yeah, and Q, if he was in the league, he's also an Eagles fan, but he's not in the league anymore. But Eagles fans all around JERRY1. How about that?
Thank you. I like it.
So let's talk about this fantasy basketball team. Last time we had you on was fantasy football talk, but fantasy basketball, you're 4-4. You've lost 2 straight. You lost to a very good Kyle team last week, phone slaps. You fell to the 8th spot in the standings, which is outside the playoffs because of points to Justin Kiefer and Kurt as the other 4-4 teams. You're still looking for you're on 39 career wins in fantasy basketball. So if you win this week over Jack, which could be pretty given,
the barn burner there.
40th career win in this league after an 0-19 start. So we don't count that here, but so 40 wins in just over 3 seasons. That would be cool. Thoughts on your 4-4 team, though, Justin, this year?
It's been a rough year. Wait, so that 0-19 is not in my career record?
No, it is.
I thought it was the whole time.
It is. It is. But look, if you take that out, 40 wins over 3+ seasons is pretty impressive.
I haven't missed the playoffs. I haven't had the best success in the playoffs, but yeah, we have like my team. It's been COVID's been hurting us. Yeah, Tyler Hero's been out all year. KD's been in and out. Gilgeous-Alexander's hurt now after that trade, and now it's not looking like that good of a trade because the Cavs might trade what's his name today, or Drummond's on the trade market. So Jared Allen could be putting up. Josh might win that trade, but I think it's over for him.
So you've made a couple trades. If you've seen 3 trades in this league, you've made a couple. You made one with me. You got my DeAndre Ayton. You gave up. You gave up my Donovan Mitchell. And then Josh, just a couple weeks ago, you gave up Jared Allen to him, and you got on the IR now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Thoughts on those 2 trades?
3 straight games for Gilgeous-Alexander, and it's a knee injury, so could be longer. But I think the Ayton trade was good for both of us. We needed it. I don't know though. Mitchell's been looking pretty good. He might. It's a very good team, the Jazz. I wish I looked at the standings before I did that, but Ayton's been good for me. But what's his name? Gilgeous-Alexander, when he plays, 25 and 38, I think he's had for me so far. Well, you got to play. You know what I mean? I can't win if he doesn't play. But you got to put up 700, 800. Would Larry have 900 last week or this week? There's some good teams this year.
And when Gilgeous-Alexander, he's the go-to guy in that Thunder team. So when he does play, I think he would win that trade. But injuries right now, giving it to Josh. But I thought our trade was good. You needed a center, and I needed a point guard, and we made that trade, and I was pretty content with that trade. But there was some historic trade, JERRY1 Fantasy Sports all around on Saturday night between me, Kurt, and my brother Matt, and it was the first ever 3-way trade. I got Zion, Matt got Trae Young, and Kurt got Anthony Davis. Thoughts on that trade?
I think we discussed it a little, but I think that Zion, I think you got the best player. I don't know why Matt really did that. He might have had a few brews that night and, got kind of caught up in the 3-way possibility, which I respect. But I don't know, but Trae definitely has the biggest ceiling. He was putting up 40, 50 for you that one year when he, a couple games when you won the title. But Kurt too, looking bad because what's his name? He's got an injury now. Anthony Davis could be out for a couple weeks with that kind of injury, especially the way them being a championship team. He doesn't really need to play till the end of the year. But hey, he made the trade. He did it. But I would have got rid of Trae Young. He had to go.
Yeah, and
he's been struggling.
And this is a Kurt team you're trying to fight out for the final playoff spot. So that's some good news for not Kurt, but for you.
It's a good schedule next week too. I think I looked like 2-6-1, 7-1s play. I played Jack. Kurt's got a hard game, I think, against Spooner. So,
Yep.
the way the standings are, I think it's gonna all the teams that need to win for me are gonna win, and I'm gonna obviously roll Jack.
Yeah, so your finals 4 games this season is against Jack, Blake, the Spooners, then you big game against Kurt, and you close out the season against Sam, who you played twice this season. You're 4-0. I saw this. You're 4-0 versus under 500 teams currently right now. You're 0-4 versus over 500 teams currently. Is that
Here we
concerned?
go.
Does that concern?
It does for sure. I haven't won a big game yet. But we're injured. You know what I mean? I gave Matt all I could get, but if KD doesn't play all week, I'm not gonna beat Matt. That's never gonna happen. We just gotta. I think I'm getting hurt the big weeks, but I got Kurt in 3 weeks. It's a big game. Mark it down. That better be game of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. You gave Matt a run for your money. You had an unlucky week. You did score really well that week. You just didn't come out with the win.
I think I had 700.
Yeah, you did.
I think he had
700 against Matt. Yeah, it was a very tough week for you. This Matt team's underrated.
He couldn't do that again if he wanted to.
Yeah. I like your team. You're beating the teams you have to beat. You're not losing to bad teams. And like, knock on wood, you don't somehow Jack beats you this week.
He didn't even start his lineup. He's in freaking Albany gambling. Who knows what he's doing?
He just goes to Austin, Texas for a weekend.
Didn't he do good last year?
Yes, he should have been in the finals last year.
It's an every other year thing for him. All right, we'll get him next year.
Here's the thing with Jack. I'll say about Jack. He's in college right now. It's his last semester in college. No, I think once he gets, like us, outside of the college life, I think this kid's going to start trying a little bit more. Maybe finally we'll see some success with this Jack team. But he did do good last year. I think he's a little pissed about that, maybe, or just having too good of a time.
What was it? Yeah, just a strike. I get it. I mean, that was. What was his pick last year and this year? Like, what was his first round pick placing? Because I think that determines a lot too. Some people that get the late picks, they kind of just give up.
Yeah,
it's tough if you don't get those. What, foam slabs? What does he have? Giannis?
That's like,
you know what I mean? Like, that's a good word. You give someone like him a high pick, he's gonna have a good year.
Yeah. Okay, so here's this year's. Jack had the 12th pick, last pick in the first round.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If someone like him gets the 12th pick, they're not going to be that.
Last year he had the 7th pick out of 14 teams, so
which isn't a bad spot.
No,
I think Foam Slabs took Harden 7th this year.
So you just played this Foam Slabs teams. He still the favorite. I know he lost to Blake that one week, but he's still.
That's just his worst players averaging like 16. You know what I mean? He's got a bunch of every pick in the mid rounds. I think averages 20 for him. It's just he drafted good. I don't know. Jeremy Grant, he picked him like 50th. Who the hell thought that was going to happen? I thought he'd have a good year, but he's borderline all-star this year.
In 2 weeks.
I don't think he'll get it because that team's so bad.
A 2-week format in playoffs is going to be tough to beat him, who's very consistent.
Larry's coming on, though. I think Terry Rozier had 140 this week for him.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on there? The Melo effect right there.
Yeah.
Well, Miles Bridges gotten 20 for you a couple weeks in a row now.
Yeah. What do you think of we each on that 3-way trade that we had? We each threw in a player. What do you think of Kurt throwing in Carmelo? Like I told him, shittiest player.
It's disrespectful.
That is disrespectful.
That's disrespectful.
Just give me Carmelo.
Nas Reed wasn't a bad player too. Whoever got him, he's averaging 60.
I gave him the math. I gave him the math.
There you go. It's not a bad. You guys should have just vetoed it.
Let's talk about. Yeah. Let's talk about some players. What about Kevin Durant, your first round draft pick? What are your thoughts on him this year so far?
He's having a good year. What's he averaging? 30. It's like I said, he just needs to play. But I don't know now. I'm a little worried with the way that the team is now with all those 3 guys. Before he was, when it was just him and Kyrie, he was putting up pretty good numbers. But we'll see. He's efficient. He doesn't miss a lot.
Yeah. Is there one guy you've been pretty happy with on your team?
I mean, KD definitely. I think Thaddeus Young, I picked him up, and now he's averaging 20 a couple weeks in a row. When I dropped him and picked him up maybe 3 times. Chris Paul's been coming around 20 a week now. They like to see that. He's a hell of a point guard, but we just need some more 30-40 bombs. You're not going to win if you don't got guys having big games like that. You can't put up 20, 25 every night and expect to win.
Happy with Ben Simmons?
He's having an all right year. Yeah. What's he, 22?
Yeah.
Mid-20s every game. Has a 30 here and there, but then he has a 16, You don't really – Embiid's just too good for them this year.
Yeah.
That guy better be top 5 the rest of his career in fantasy.
Yeah, Embiid.
He went second round, I think, again.
So the trade deadline in our league is on Monday, February 22nd at noon, almost a week from when we're recording this. You made 2 trades. Any more? Is there any more moves to be made this week for you?
We were done with the trades. I should have pulled the trigger on KD for Zion. Should have sent it, but no, we will not make any more trades the rest of the year. We are content with our team.
You heard that? Do not offer the Boise Bombers any more trades.
I'm always open though, but there's only really about 2 guys that offer good trades in this league. 2, 3, I'd say.
How's
Kurt's
COVID
trying to one up you the whole time.
How's COVID been for you? Dealing with that?
It sucks. Very boring. Haven't been able to go to Del Lago, watch the games with the boys. It's not the same. Watching basketball without fans just sucks. Like, I can't even get into college basketball this year. It's just, you're going on the road to an empty arena. Come on.
And Syracuse, Cuomo's letting in 10% here soon.
God, what's that? Freaking 300 people?
I think the Carry Dome's a little more than most places, but
Yeah, how do you think they do that? They go by the 36,000, or they go by the whole entire freaking thing, 100,000, whatever it is.
I would assume it's the basketball, whatever basketball is.
Probably.
Yeah, 36,000.
Let's talk Syracuse hoops. God, it is just, I don't know what. I think it's like Jim Boeheim's last hurrah. He's just letting his son play. Knows it's not the best thing to do, but don't even get me started on Syracuse.
That's for another podcast.
We'll save the viewers that.
So you're the 8th spot right now. Justin Kiefer is the 6th spot, the final spot in the playoffs. Kurt's right above you. Paul's right below you. Game back. Who is the biggest threat in that competition race for that final playoffs? Is it Justin Kiefer, Kurt, or Paul?
Who's Kiefer? Orlando Spooners?
Kiefer is Billy Hoyle.
Or Billy Hoyle, yeah. What a name. Yeah, he's a good team. I think him, I'm not worried about Kurt. Not worried about Paul. Paul, no. But Jimmy Butler's got to get. If Jimmy Butler gets going for Paul, he could be decent, but he's been on and off this year for him. Hurt too. I don't think Kurt's going to be a threat. I think AD is going to be sidelined these next 2-3 weeks for him, or limited play, and that's going to hurt him. Maybe a little over management. Some things we see from Jaren Johnson a lot in the other league. We won't, he's not in the basketball league, but
I actually said this.
Yeah.
I actually said this at the beginning part of the podcast. There's 5 teams that are above all you guys. There's Matt, there's Sam, there's Spooners, there's Foam Slaps, and there's Larry. I said one of those teams could actually slide back, and I said it could be Sam Shields. What are your thoughts on that? Sam Shields could slide back?
I mean, he did when we played earlier in the year. I think we both scored 300-400, and he won. It wasn't impressive from either of our sides, and he does have the least points scored against him. So there's that. But I think he's 6-1 now or 7-1.
6-2. He's 6-2.
Oh,
he's got a good record, so it's going to be tough for him to slide back. But you do play him.
I do play him. I think. Yeah.
Week 12.
I think I go Jack, Spooners, Kurt, Sam Shields.
Yep,
that's a tough run. I don't know.
That's a tough schedule.
Kurt game is big. I bet we're going to be the same record or right there when we meet.
Yeah. Jack, you're 2-2 all time against him in this league. Obviously, must win. What's your thoughts going into the week? We're about to start tonight here on this Monday.
Not worried at all, to be honest. The most confident I've ever been. We might take a trip to Vegas, take half the team to Vegas, give Jack, give Jack a chance. I don't know. Not worried. You know,
He's like,
you hate to see it from a potential finals winner last year, but, we get it.
Yeah, he's literally the only team right now that's like, it's an easy win. Even Josh, you can't take him lightly.
Yeah.
I know he hasn't found a win yet.
He almost beat me that week.
Yeah, he's playing
I
teams.
think he almost beat me.
He just can't get any luck. He played against Larry last week, 900 points. It was over for him in the early goings. It's just
it's
a tough league. It's a very tough league.
Do you see Josh Langley come back next year? Do you think he hangs it up? Do you think this is a deflating season for him?
He's very loyal, and I think he always shows up. He never he won that first football.
I think it's just a bad drafting.
I don't know what the deal is. Football championship he won, and he just hasn't really done much since all those leagues he's played in. But
we get it. He's wifed up, honeymoon phase. It's all right, we respect it. Let the man live.
All right, fantasy football. Let's talk about it a little bit since it did finish up our 10th season. It was a huge year. All right, let's just get it over with. What are your thoughts of Jared winning? Your rival.
Congrats. He had a decent year. He drafted good. I'll give that to him. Picked up Justin Jefferson, which was huge for him. I'll never reach for a quarterback again. Lamar Jackson was absolute dog shit for me, but we'll bounce back.
Yeah,
we will.
And you still have that one playoff win over him. Always remember that.
1-0, baby, or 1-0, whatever way it looks on the camera. 1-0.
All right, so we had our first year of PPR. Obviously, that's going to stay, right?
Absolutely love it.
And expansion in fantasy football after 10 years.
I wouldn't mind. I think we need some. I think we need to shake it up just because we had the same people kind of dominating. Jaron definitely shook the league up, but Kurt was kind of getting my vote. But I don't know now. I don't know if he's a loyal owner. We might need to look at other options. Sam Shields has proven himself in multiple fantasy leagues. Is he in hockey?
No, he's only in
just basketball.
Baseball and basketball. Not a lot of people in that hockey league.
Yeah. It's growing. I'll probably never be in it, to be honest, but one of these days.
Jeremy might be in it.
Oh God. Surprised he was in basketball at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's been in basketball, baseball. He's out of both now, but he was
I think the expansion, if we ever expand, maybe basketball, if Jack hangs it up, we throw Pat Russo in there. I don't know why Pat never does it.
That's what I've been saying since the start of basketball. Why Pat Russo has not been in that one.
People think it's like too much work. I set it every Monday. You know what I mean? And then you definitely look at it once in a while. But
because you got to make. You definitely got to make some pickups each week.
Yeah, but it's not that hard. The beginning's the hardest. You trim. You got 3-4 guys. You trim. That's how you know if you have a good team. Like Foam Slabs, he probably only trimmed 2-3 people. We had to 4 or 5 people. Like I had Gallinari, had him on the IR all year. He didn't play a game. It's tough. You got to draft good in the middle rounds.
You go through so many different players in fantasy basketball. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you like the league future of this league? Fantasy football. It's obviously the best league. We're moving on to the next 10 years. You like the future of this league?
I all the leagues are solid. Football is definitely the best. Basketball is one of my favorite, though. I know I just know basketball more. Football is tough because it's just you're guessing some weeks. You know what I mean? If guys are going to play, basketball, you pretty much can tell if people are going to play bad or good just by them. I don't know. It's tough.
I will say in these next 10 years, you and me and Fletch are the only ones that haven't won yet in fantasy football. We're going to win a championship in these next 10 years. I'm telling you.
It'll happen. I don't know. We'll see. Let me get a first pick this year, huh?
You, me, and Fletch got to stick together.
Let me get that first 3-3 pick, and we'll see.
All right. But, we come to that point of the show. Anybody who comes on my show for a second time plays my new game, JERRY1, true or false. It is 5 statements about your franchises in JERRY1, from easier to harder. You start with 100 points. I will first tell you the statement about your team, and then you say how much you want to wager, how confident you are, and then you can say true or false. You either get the point or you lose the points. If you fall back to 0, the next statement we would have won. The most you can win is 3,200. The top score is Kurt, 840.
You're going to mail me 3,200?
Nah, just points.
Ah,
So you start with the 100. Justin, are you ready to play?
I am. I think you need some game music here too. Like cue the music right now.
I do have another laptop. Maybe for the next show.
Yeah.
All right. Good thinking here, man. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, don't overthink this one. Fantasy basketball. Justin has won over 10 career games. True or false?
True.
And how much do you want to wager?
All of it.
All right, so 100 points. And that is correct. Yes, Justin has 39 career wins. That's way over 10. He's at 200 points. Here we go. Moving on. Fantasy basketball again in the second statement. Justin has 3 career playoff appearances in fantasy basketball.
Okay. Oh, true or false, you're saying?
Yes. Is that true or false?
It's false. I got 4. I'm betting all of it. I got 4. False.
Final answer.
Correct. Yep. Final answer.
And that is sadly incorrect, Justin. That is not correct.
I thought it was 1 and 3.
Nope, this is your 5th season. You did not make it the first year, 0-19. And those 3 other years, it would be 3 playoff appearances, not 4. You could make it 4 this year. You fall back to 0 points. That means you don't have to wager here. This next one is only worth 1, so you are fucked.
Wait, if I get this, I'm in the top 5, right?
Yeah. If you stay where you are, you're in the top 5.
You can get negative?
No, you can't get negative.
No.
Whatever you do here, you made the top 5 because the worst scores right now is 0. So here we go. Moving on for 1 point.
All right, let's go.
Justin has 4 6-6 seasons in fantasy football. True or false?
Oh, definitely at least 3. That 4th one is, that's where we get to thinking. I'm going to say true.
And that is correct. Yes, you have 4 6-6 seasons. 2014, 2015, 2017, 2018. And not to mention 2016 was your regular season championship season. So it's a good stretch of football there,
Should have won that year.
You're at 1 point. Obviously, you're going to wager 1. Go for 2.
Yep. What does that put me all time? 3rd?
You know what? I think it does, actually. I think 1 point is 3rd.
A lot of pressure. Calm the crowd down.
Yeah, here we go. Fantasy college basketball now. Favorite league.
Oh, boy. Jesus.
Justin did not make the finals in the long season of fantasy college basketball.
That's false. It was me and Matt in the finals, I believe.
And that is correct. Yes. That is false. One of you in Matt in the league. Honestly, out of all the people that played that stupid college basketball league, I think that's the first time someone has gotten a fantasy college basketball question right.
That's the only thing I remember from that season is that I somehow made the finals.
All right, so you're up to 2 points. Final statement here. Now you get a chance to. What do you want to wager? 1 or 2 here?
Oh, we're going big. Send them all. Send them all
right,
2.
So we're sending all 2 right now. Final one. Justin was winning against Jeremy in the 2016 fantasy football finals after week 1.
Oh, God. I think I was. I don't know. He had Odell. I was in Ireland. Who knows? We're going to say true.
I'm sorry, Justin. That's sadly incorrect. This was kind of a trick question. It was a tough one. You and Jeremy were actually tied.
Oh, that's a setup. You set me up. Good question.
Yeah, that's why I made the last one. All right.
Yeah.
This was 0, which is good enough for the top 5.
Yeah.
Congratulations. 0, but all right. That was fun.
That was a good. That's why they pay you the big bucks. That last question right there.
Yeah, it is. All right. So before I get you out of here, Justin, fantasy basketball. We kind of touched on it already. Who's the biggest threat for the championship this year?
Foam slaps, not even close. Where was he last year? Did he not make the playoffs?
He beat you in the first round of the playoffs last year, and he
Okay.
was actually losing to Larry before the season got cut.
Damn. All right.
It could have been a Larry Jack finals, but very different.
I don't know. I think Larry. Let me hold on. I gotta look at. If Larry keeps it up, I don't think Terry Rozier is going to give him 140 every week. You know. But hold on, let me see. One thing. Oh, it doesn't even let me look. Never mind.
There's also
Matt.
But there's Sam. There's Blake.
Yeah, Matt. This is what I'll say about Matt. Matt is the only person in the world that would pick up quickly after he goes 8, 9, and then he drops 25 that night. The only person in the world that would do that.
That quickly, he's been around. He's been around the league this year.
I just don't understand why he gets picked up so much. And you got Alex Burks, who's like getting you, 10, 15 a night. He gets no love from the Knicks fans. Why not? Not a Burks family.
definitely a quickly family. But,
yeah. What about D Rose? How do you like him so far?
Oh, we love him over here. It's a big talk. We're thinking playoffs.
Also, me and Kurt were talking. Why didn't Matt try to move Julius Randle and keep Zion? Didn't want the heart like watching Julius every night? Is that why?
You are 100% right. Julius was 100% never getting traded from that team.
I don't know why. I think Kurt would have done it.
I'm telling you, he ain't getting moved from that Mitch's block party team. There's no chance.
Yeah, I respect it.
Yeah, tough. You love that he got him like late in the draft, and
that's a steal. He's having a great year.
But 16th season now, Justin. Is this finally it? Is this the championship season we've been waiting for?
I would probably say, with all confidence, probably not. We'll bounce back next year.
So you're building.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try, but I don't think I got the roster that these other guys got this year. I think the best year I had was Embiid and Jokic. So that team I had, and we just we got hurt at the end of the year. You need a roster like that to win.
Someday these Bombers are gonna bring it home.
We will.
All right, Justin. I appreciate you coming on this Monday afternoon now. The week's about to start. I hope you set your lineup. Appreciate you coming on again. And Justin, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, sir. You're an absolute legend.
And I wish the best of luck for your team going forward.
Thank you. You too. And I hope Kurt loses out. Thank you very much.
I want to thank Justin for coming on. It was good to talk to him, good to catch up with him. Good to have him on for a second time on the podcast. I know episode 20 is coming to a close here soon, but first let's talk about fantasy hockey. Fantasy hockey is, it's at the halfway point of the season. We're doing good. I'm not doing good personally. 0-5. We'll start with me, I guess. 0-5. I lost to Paul. Paul was the only guy to score over 100 points in week 5. It was a record low scoring week. He gets the top scoring week, obviously. I did not finish last in scoring, though. I actually get an unlucky week, only scoring 71 points. That just shows you how low the week it was. Matt scored the least amount of points, 44 points. Lost to Q. Matt is outside the playoffs now. Q is in the playoffs with the head-to-head. So that's an interesting loss for Matt. Trying to get to the playoffs for the first time in this league. And now he's out at the halfway point. So concerns for this Matt team at the halfway point. You, though, huge win. This Q team's hanging around. Had a good week. Tied for fourth in scoring with 71. Like I said, it's record lows. Matt was least amount of points of his franchise. Josh, least amount of points of franchise. Now lost 10 straight to Nate. Nate won 4 straight. He's back in the mix for the championship. Jack, a franchise low as well. He lost to Justin Kiefer. Justin Kiefer continues to have the upper hand on Jack and JERRY1. Justin Kiefer's 5-0. Nate's 4-1. And what better to start off week 6, the second half, than a game between Nate and Justin Kiefer. Justin Kiefer has a career win against Nate in this league, But this is still a huge, huge statement game for Justin Kiefer taking on Nate. He gets a 6-0 and a 2-game lead and a head-to-head over Nate. It'll be the only time they'll meet this season. Huge for the number 1 seed. Top 3 get a bye, but still nice to get that number 1 seed. Justin Kiefer's, history maybe. We saw Paul in fantasy baseball go undefeated through the regular season, shortened season. That was only 7 weeks. This is 10. Huge game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually looking forward to this one more than my matchup against my brother, which you think would be a huge game. Matt needs it, Dad. Not going to give it to him. I'm going to go out and try to win a game. We're not going winless. I'm trying to make the playoffs still here. We're only 2 back. Huge game here. We can get to 1 game back. If Q could lose to Josh is a game better than Q in the standings. If Josh could win and then I win, all of a sudden I'm just a game back at 1-5, which is crazy. Because 5 of the 8 teams make the playoffs. So huge game. Josh needs it. Q needs it. I mean, imagine if Q wins this game, then he's 3-3. And he's right there. He had some big high praise coming this year. Wants to prove that he can belong. And he's off to a decent start for standing terms. And then Paul versus Jack. Paul's going to win a 4th straight here. Start 0-2. He's going to win a 4th straight here. Jack is going to lose a 5th straight after starting 1-0. Huge turnaround. These teams are going in opposite directions. Could be huge for Paul. Paul's always that sneaky team, and he's still a threat. Right now you're looking at Nate and Justin Kiefer, but they're playing each other this week. So huge opportunity for Paul to gain some ground on some of these top teams. Huge chance for Josh as well. Josh needs a rebound. Just can't beat Nate in this league. So if you can't beat Nate in this league, you're probably not going to win a championship. But this Josh team has definitely been to the playoffs before, and he's going to get back to it again. The trade deadline in this league, though, is Monday, March 1st at noon Eastern Standard Time. So keep in mind with that. And fantasy hockey, week 6, second half, getting underway tonight here on this Monday. You're watching this on YouTube on Tuesday. It's the second half is getting going. So fantasy hockey, week 5 in the books. Week 6, here we come. Big game, Nate versus Justin Kiefer. Check that out. Huge games. You got fantasy basketball. You got Sam versus Kyle. Here you got Nate versus Justin Kiefer. So some huge games here in this week 9, week 6 of basketball, fantasy hockey. Quick reminder that the trade deadlines in this league is Monday, February 22nd at noon Eastern is fantasy basketball. Fantasy hockey is Monday, March 1st at noon Eastern. Fantasy hockey. I don't know if I said it. I think I did. But those are the trade deadlines. You know them. Nothing yet in fantasy hockey. Seen some stuff in fantasy basketball. Should be exciting. I do have a JERRY1, not a JERRY1 birthday shout out, but I just want to shout out my dad. It's his birthday on Sunday, February 21st. Happy birthday, Dad. And and that is episode 20 of the JERRY1 Podcast. On to the next 20 of the JERRY1 Podcast. I want to thank Justin for coming on. He's on for a second time, so it was good to have him on. I thought it was a good week to have him on, too. With him in the playoff race and with trades going down, he's made majority of the trades this season. So I thought it was a great time to have him on. Thank you, Justin, for coming on. That's episode 20. Week 9 fantasy basketball, week 6 fantasy hockey. We're getting down to it. The playoff weeks are here. Playoff clinching weeks are here, I should say. But that's episode 20. We'll see you next week. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe sometimes you can't get a show in. Right now we're doing strong. This is the 6th straight week we've done a podcast. No. 7th straight week. 7th straight week we've done a podcast. So keeping it rolling. I'm doing a good job, I think. That's episode 20 of the JERRY1 Podcast, as I say again. But I've been Nick Felice. Set your lineup, and we'll see you next time on episode 21 of the JERRY1 Fantasy Sport Podcast. Pitchers and catchers report as well this week, so look out for that. All right, I'll see you later.